Hey, what's up, everyone? Dragon back again, here to tell you that you should be reading Journey to the Center of the Earth. So, Journey to the Center of the Earth is an 1864 novel written by Jules Verne. A lot of you, I'm sure, have at least heard of it. It's kind of a classic literature. It's kind of right up there with War of the Worlds and those kind of stories. Basically, and it's a basic kind of a classic adventure story. And essentially, it is in a way, a lost world story in which a group of intrepid explorers, scientists, venture down into this center of the Earth via an Icelandic volcano. The theory that there is, in fact, that parts of the Earth, at least, are hollow on the inside, and that may house life. And when they travel down, they discover essentially a thriving ecosystem that consists predominantly of a prehistoric life. So basically, you see various prehistoric creatures like plesiosaurs. You see large herd mammals from the Pleistocene era. You basically see various epochs from Earth's geologic history kind of coexisting to some degree deep underground. One of the very kind of famous visuals that have kind of been drawn and whatnot, you've probably seen a lot of the covers, like these large giant mushroom forests that you see growing down there. And essentially it's a bit like the Lost World, if you will, but instead of finding some kind of lost world on the Earth's surface, some corner of the world and we have not yet explored, it's down within the world. And what kind of makes it interesting is that the story really is this notion of, even here in 1864, is that the idea of the world kind of shrinking, or not literally, but rather the undiscovered corners of the world. Now, while in 1864 there were still plenty of unknown places, still places to discover, but by this point in history, mankind had kind of ventured out. We had actively been mapping and cataloging and recording the world as it was, in the places in which we were finding new things, undiscovered corners were shrinking, because our as our technology was improving, as scientific means of measuring things, we were basically starting to shine a spotlight on these darker undiscovered places on Earth, which means this sense of adventure, this thrill of discovery, was kind of bringing with it, for some people thought, kind of an end of an era a little bit. We were starting to kind of realize that eventually, maybe sooner than later, we were going to kind of see all that there was. Everywhere you look, we kind of seen it all, done it all. So where do we go to essentially find the unknown? Where can we go now that we really haven't gone, or really haven't really thought to go, to see something new? If we wanted to find a lost world, where would we actually go? Would it really be some, far off plateau? Or would it be some place that we would never think to look? That perhaps, we've kind of seen it all and done it all on the Earth, but within it, beneath it, that might be a whole different story. So it's this idea of, essentially, when you look around and see everything that you've seen, you have to start going to places you would never think to go. You have to kind of venture to places that would not seem natural to you. For us, searching for a lost world, we would look for it in the places that we habitate ourselves. We live on the Earth's surface. So we're going to look for it in the places that feel natural to us, but we would never think necessarily to look under a place like underground within the Earth. It's not our habitat. It's not the world in which we come from. So it's something that essentially is right underneath our feet, but we would never think to look there because it's not of our world as we know the world to be, in terms of how it is, how we fit within it. So they venture down deep and uncover a whole nother world, and realize that there is sometimes, to find something new, to uncover something new, or in this case something very old, you have to dig deep. And I feel this was kind of a bit of a metaphor for kind of the notion of adventure. Anyway, it's this idea of the fear of, the world losing some of its splendor, because again, as we basically again chart the world, we're losing that sense of mystery because we now know where everything is. We now know what's out there. There are really no more dark corners of the world anymore because essentially we're too smart for our own good to believe that anymore because we've seen it all, especially nowadays. And I think this story, strangely enough, despite being as old as it is perhaps more relevant today than it was even in its time because now we essentially have mapped the whole world. We have seen it all. By today's standards, 1864, the world would have had a lot more mystery in it than it does today. So now more than ever, this idea of finding a place either in the world or under it is more meaningful because it would essentially bring back a sense of discovery and a thrill of adventure that I feel for a lot of people today is kind of lost because again, with technology, there's no place where anything can hide anymore. We have with satellites in space that can zero down on any point in the world where there's no more lost islands. There's no more possibility of a forgotten continent anymore because we can literally just see it now. We know what's out there. There is no longer a sense of mystery. And with that loss of that sense of mystery, the kind of sense of adventure kind of goes with it because you can travel anywhere and know exactly what's going to be waiting for you when you get there. So this idea of going down to the bowels of the world essentially and uncovering a proverbial lost world full of amazing prehistoric creatures, an entire ecosystem within our own world, is a fascinating idea and a fun and creative way of essentially figuring out how to house a lost world in today's world. It's like, well, what if it was within the world? And now of course we know that that's not how it works. We know that there are no big hollow pockets within the world where there's no ecosystems living within the world. So even though the story very much is science fiction, not only just what it depicts, but also its ability to even exist, it still brings forth the notion of wanting to find something and being creative in terms of storytelling in which to figure out ways to hide something as impressive as what you find when you go to the story to the center of the earth. And how to do that in the modern world. Again, how come we haven't uncovered it yet? Why have we not stumbled upon it? Again, if it's a plateau in the Amazon, as in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World, you would think eventually someone would stumble upon it, and it would makes you want, which the characters in that book do. But it also begs the question, why has it not been discovered before? Yes, it's deep in the Amazon, but in theory, it's still something on our world, whereas here, it is in the bowels of the earth. So it makes sense why we haven't just tripped over it. You have to go down, and it's not even just, hey, dig it down a little bit, oh, there's dinosaurs. They have to venture down deep into the heart of the planet to find this place. It is a treacherous journey. It is not it's not easy, and just how they even discover this world is brings a lot of things into question. Realizing that this place is damn near impossible to find despite its size. But yeah, that's really what this story is about. It's a classic adventure story, yes, but it is also an adventure story that longs to exist in an era where our sense of wonder is shrinking with what we don't know about the world, which was that was reducing. We were learning more and more, faster and faster as science was progressing, and still are to this day. So essentially, when we finally uncover the last fragment of the unknown in the world, while our length and breadth of knowledge will have expanded, and I don't think that ignorance should persist where knowledge can, but at the same time, the trade-off is, again, the sense of wonder of what's out there, and knowing what's out there can bring with it an equally amazing, if not infinitely more so, sense of wonder too, because to know some of the incredible things that are possible is just that incredible. But at the same time, everyone loves a great story where people discover something previously unknown. It's that sense of mystery. It makes you wonder what else is out there that we don't know about. And I feel in today's world of science fiction, it really has been doing this for a long time, where a lot of that sense of discovery is done through kind of outer space science fiction, where because Earth is kind of tapped out in terms of mystery, we now look to the stars, for the unknown. But in 1864, the idea that there could be still something within the confines of Earth that we did not know about was still a very tangible idea. And by looking inward to the world, it was kind of acknowledging that what we now can perceive around us is growing. Meaning, if we're going to want to discover something that no one's ever seen before, we might have to start looking in places that we would deem as unorthodox, looking in places we would never think to look to find that, hence going into the Earth as opposed to just finding this place somewhere on the Earth. But in terms of like adaptation, I mean, this story has been adapted in more times than I could even think of, with films and television. So more than likely, you yourself, whether if you never even read the book, you've encountered probably this story in one way or another. So you've gotten a sense of this idea of venturing down into the world to discover, a world basically a world within a world. But the original story, while very much being a period piece now, like I said, holds true to this day and really is a reflection of our desire to want to find something unknown. The more more it becomes known to us. Meaning, the more we discover, the more we want to feel that there is still something out there for us to discover. We never really want to feel like we've seen it all, done it all, know it all. That's that yearn to look to the next horizon, even though in this case horizon is down deep. To know that even though we've uncovered something amazing, that we discovered something wonderful, we always have that question, but what else is out there? What else did we not know? What else have we yet to see? And it's that thrill of the potential and the possibility of discovery that kind of drives that sense of adventure forward. So while we now know that there are no vast, chasms down deep in the world where we'll find, prehistoric life still roaming, it still sparks this sense of adventure and this yearning and this need to want to look to a new horizon and find something new, whether that be here on Earth or beyond the stars. But Journey of the Center of the Earth represents our unyielding desire to discover more. For us to always want there to be more to discover. And that's, for me anyway, what I feel the crux of this story is that we never truly want to be satisfied. We never truly want to have, nothing else to discover. It's the half of the fun is discovering something is wondering what you might find, wondering what it is you might discover. It's the anticipation. It's the whole Christmas morning thing. It's what's more fun, getting the thing you wanted, or seeing the box and getting ready to unwrap it. It's the thrill of wondering what might be there that really drives, I feel like, a good adventure story and the sense of adventure that we all have, I feel, within ourselves. But yeah, Journey to the Center of the Earth, classic story. Like I said, I'm sure most of you have all heard of it at least, and even if you haven't read the story, you probably encountered some variation of it through some other form of media at some point in your life. But as always, I will leave links in the description section below where you can pick up a copy of the book, give it a read, come back, give me some of your thoughts, let me know, and as always, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace!